Can you see the problem that was down in this transmission? Yeah. It's growing moss. A little bit of electrical wiring holding it together. That's gonna be interesting. That exhaust looks kind of blown open. There's a hole in the exhaust there. What the heck were you riding? Oh my goodness. If a mouse jumps out of here and bites my finger. Ah, don't point the heat gun at your fingers. Little steps at a time. That's like syrup in there. All right, so there's a little sludge built up in there. Water's just running out of this seat cover here. Look at that. This is gonna be fun. You see, that's broken off. Broken off from there. We're gonna get a delete kit. See all those nice aluminum shavings get dropped into the carb. Let's fix that freaking hole in the exhaust. Smokes like a chimney. That is milky white, implying we've got water down in there. That's some nasty, ugly looking stuff there. We're stuck between gears. We are splitting the case. The shift shaft is welded on. Hear that? This shaft is bent. Wow, there it is. There's a gear. More gear, more gear. I think I found your problem, buddy. All right, this morning, to fix the idle issue by getting rid of the Tors, pulled the carb off, and what we're going to do is on the choke side we're going to add an idle screw in here. Now if you look at this straight on, that's at a bit of an angle, so we're going to flatten this out so that our idle screw can go, you know, just down in there. We're going to drill and tap that, and the drill and tap, you know, for making the threads comes with the kit. And then we'll be able to get rid of that whole brick up top, which for us, that brick had the broken plastic behind the idle adjust on the back. So the kit came with this cap here, so pulled out the throttle body, and to put this in, just get the spring out of your way and you can reach down in there with a pair of needle nose and grab that brass retainer, and that'll slide right out, and then you can get the whole brick out. You have this new cable, and then in our kit here, there's going to be our new idle. And down in here is a drill bit and thread cutter. And this is just a Tors delete kit. Comes with the new thread adapter up on the handlebar grip for the thumb throttle. And at this point, we should be, once this is in, we should be able to control the idle. This was leaking fuel out the overflow, so I'm going to crack this open again and clean it, which is also going to be a good idea after I drill this, because I could have aluminum shavings in different places. So we'll clean it again. We're going to pay close attention to that float needle, make sure we're not leaking fuel. Then we'll get it back on the quad and we should be able to idle. Also have some replacement bars, excuse me, not replacement bars, but replacement hand controls here for clutch and brake. And yeah, we also have a new clutch cable attached. I used, you know, the remaining bar here from the broken side to get us attached so we could test. So we do have a clutch cable installed and engaged, but if I try to pull this clutch, I'm noticing there's no disengage, and I think we're coming down to that original problem here. We are stuck. Doesn't want to do anything. So we're going to do the carb first. We're going to look to get the start idle, see if we can control that. I'll put a little aluminum tape around the hole in the muffler, and then start idle, let it all warm up, do its thing. Once we have that bridge crossed and we have that baseline, we're going to drain the oil. And after we drain the oil, we're going to pop off the clutch side cover on this side, and we're going to start to take a look and start seeing how deep do we have to go. You know, is the issue under here, or do we have to split the case? We're going to find out. go, just popping through here. Gonna grab a file to flatten this out. All right, a little bit of carb cleaner to clean this out. Flip that on for a little bit of heat in here for a moment. And this is gonna cut, let's see here, M6 by 0.75 threads. Yeah, and I wonder if the drill bit actually told me what size it was. I can't tell what size bit that is. Not stamped anyway. You want to use a little bit of care cutting the threads. If you get an awful lot of resistance, back it off and go back in again. You don't want to snap this off in your carb. This is cutting threads fairly easy for me today. I'm just looking down the throttle body so I can see when it comes through. See all those nice aluminum shavings get dropped into the carb. Oh, I'm going to actually hold it like this. Maybe those aluminum shavings will fall the other direction, make it a little easier. I am going to have to clean this. That's exactly the kind of stuff that'll plug up your jets and do all kinds of nasty things. Oh yeah, look at all that nice aluminum down there in the body. Oh. Test thread this in. And there you see now we have idle adjust. Again, make sure it's on the choke side. All right, we're going to take this apart. We're going to drop it in the ultrasonic, clean it up again. We're going to get it on the quad. All right, 10 minutes in the ultrasonic. Blowing it out with compressed air. Put my compressor up against all the orifices here. Blew them out so that we're nice and clean for our float needle. Still looking good. So we're going to put this all back together now. Never was able to make out what size main jet this is, but we are putting it back in. That action looks nice and clean. Should turn off fuel flow. So this little guy here kind of helps make the fuel flow a little more consistent when you're on inclines and tipping, so the fuel doesn't slosh to one side of the bowl quick. Because essentially this will keep a little pool of fuel in the bottom of the carb. There you have it, rebuilt carb, idle adjust on the side, last piece for that Tor's delete. Let's go bolt this thing back on. We have idle, but let's fix that freaking hole in the exhaust. All right, that little hole is absolutely obnoxious. We're just gonna wrap some aluminum tape around it for now. And also, if you notice behind, I had to shut off the fuel even after the rebuild, checking that float needle and everything. We're still leaking fuel, so it's not shutting off. Either I'll have to bend the tab for the floats, or I didn't see any debris in there, so that needle should be going all the way up, but it's not shutting off fuel flow. I don't have a good track record of a fix like this holding for very long, but for right now, let's just get some of this leaking back pressure taken care of. Let's see if that takes down some of the little bit of that obnoxious tinging. Definitely a lot of two-stroke smoke on this one. I am going to let it idle for 5 minutes, really come up with temperature. See if I burn off some water or anything else that's in there, but that's a whole lot of smoke. Alright guys, we have idle control. Throttle actually is fairly smooth. Smokes like a chimney. But started up, idled it for 10 minutes, you know, ran through throttle, fine. Can't get it into any gear. And you see I did kind of the cheapo depot aluminum tape wrap on the exhaust just to kind of smooth out that back pressure and get that noise down. We'll have to do a real fix for that, a little weld, something of nature. And we still have a little leak around where the muffler joins the pipe. There's definitely pressure escaping around here. We can do some gasket there around this Toomey. So next, look at that. Now that we've had it idling and moving, if you can see that, that is milky white, implying we've got water down in there. So I'm gonna get my drain pan. We're gonna drain this. We're gonna take this side off. To do that, I'll drop the peg and I'll get this tree out of here, and we'll have to take off the kick. And we're gonna start to look and see if there's anything obvious on the clutch side. And we still have to figure out, I've turned off the fuel because it does still pour fuel out if it is off. If it's running, it's pulling enough fuel, but that float needle is not sitting in the bowl appropriately, or something else is going on there. Yep. That's some nasty, ugly looking stuff there. We're gonna let that drain for a while. Okay guys, here's the synopsis. You know, somebody's, you know, been in here before. Nice gasket in here. There is actually a real block off kit, and they did things like they saved and blocked off some of the hoses. So nice kit has been put in. But what I don't see anywhere on here, I don't see any sign of damage here on the clutch side. Everything looks as it should. And tough to see from any of this angle. We're stuck between gears. So let's see, we're probably, because that's there on the star, and I'll show you once I get some of these pieces off here, but there should be a detent on the star for neutral. We're stuck between gears. So I'm starting to think more about shift drums, shift forks, but ultimately what this implies to me, we are splitting the case. One thing I didn't see, and I didn't see coming out or caked in the bottom here, I don't see any metal shards, but I do think that water got into this because it was so milky. So case split. So we have our baseline, which was our hope for getting to this point. Starts, runs, idles, revs up, etc. And sliding off the clutch side. We're stuck between gears in some way. We're gonna find out, but to find out, we gotta split this little case. So what does that entail? Obviously we have to drop the the muffler. We'll take the carb back off. We have a bolt here that holds the motor to the frame, and what holds the motor on the back is actually the swing arm bolt. So with any luck, this one will come out easy. We won't have to battle there. And we have one more bolt on the bottom. Then the motor lifts out. On the other side, we'll disconnect the clutch. We'll unplug the stator. To do this work, though, I am going to put the clutch cover back on, protect all, so I don't get, you know, grime down in there. Yeah. Nice thing is at least a two-stroke is a small motor to work on. That last 350 motor must have weighed 150 pounds. This thing probably isn't more than 40. So, all right, we're going to slow down a little bit, lift this thing out. All right, that wasn't as much of a fight as I thought. I thought this guy, he was pretty seized up. But here we go. We're free from the back swing arm. Bolt out's there. Bolts out in the front. The exhaust is dropped. Spark plug's disconnected. The carb is still connected. I'm going to take that off now. And the chain is disconnected. Stator's disconnected. Clutch is disconnected. And I like this little technique here. My 3/8 inch extension bar tapped through nice without goofing up the threads. So nice trick for that one. So let me take the top of the carb off, and we're going to lift the whole motor out. This side is the goal because the exhaust runs around the other side. All right, I ended up dropping the rear swing arm by disconnecting the shock at the lower side, by ultimately cutting the cotter pin. Was all bound up. We're going to get that all sanded, polished, so it works easier. Top is really bound up, so I don't need to touch that to fix anything, so we'll leave it. But now we don't have this floating backwards, putting the pressure on the motor, so let's see if we can lift this out. There's the power plant. All right, let me go make a little space in the shed. You know what, I might not even put this in the shed. I might just set this up outside here, clean this up a little bit, split the case outside because it's still pretty dirty. So we'll do that. It's a nice afternoon so far. So, all right, let's see about taking the head off and splitting the case. Tell you what's amazing, I really haven't had to fight any nuts and bolts on this motor. Knock on wood so far. I think the only one I had to fight was on the stator cover. Cylinder's in fine shape. Nice gasket. Plus they did gasket sealer. First inspection, still don't see why this motor is so angry and not shifting. Shift bolt broke off in the lever here. Oh, you know what I'm seeing? Here's where it's going to get interesting. Shifter welded onto the shift shaft. That's going to keep us from splitting the case. What we'll end up having to do is buy a shifter and buy a shift shaft to be able to do this. So we'll be able to cut this, but let's try and work around it for the moment. Stator cover. We're going to clean the heck out of that too. Okay, well, keep going here. We got to get the stator off. So we're gonna have to bind this up somehow and hit it with a quick air impact. Alright, so here's where we are so far. Head came off, gaskets came off, sleeve came off. We have the stator cover off. I've got to be able to pull that stator. Also have found that the shift shaft is welded on. So ultimately, to split the case, we're going to have to cut the shift shaft. We have to get our hands on a shifter and a shift shaft. So we'll end up looking at that. But we'll keep working away for a little bit here. Next, we're going to take the clutch off. Kickstart spring, all good. We'll lift this off. Once the clutch plates and basket come off, we can get at these gears, take this off, and ultimately that gets us one step closer to splitting the case. Alright guys, popped off the stator. Been kind of getting some of the grease off the motor. This whole thing's going to have to be cleaned, but we know we're splitting the case, so we're into a good cleaning anyway. And as I've been brushing off, I've noticed things. I don't know what this is. This might be a hole in the case here that's been patched. And I wonder that because the stator cover and the case saver is all smashed as if a chain's been thrown. And as I see these nicks all through here, I'm betting a chain got thrown and the case saver either didn't save the case or wasn't in place, it was already smashed, and we get a hole. So that's probably what that is. The other thing today is to get the case split, we've got to cut the shift shaft. Shifter's been welded on. And to split the case, that's got to go. So whoosh, we're going to cut the shift shaft. And one step closer. Definitely have had water elements down here in the stator. You see all the rusted bolts and everything. So we're going to keep pulling that apart. But yep, something blew up. No sign of what blew up yet. But we are slowly getting closer. I don't need a precision cutter for this one. This is actually just starting to get interesting. I can hear pieces rattling inside. Hear that? Oh yeah. There are all kinds of pieces rattling around in the lower part of this motor. Something big blew up inside. One of those stator screws is smoked. Easy out in. Haven't been having a whole lot of luck with easy outs on the bolts in this case. Oh, come on, buddy. Probably end up cutting a flathead into it if I need to. Oh, that's a long stator bolt. That implies the one that's all goobered here. Probably gonna have to go OEM for a replacement if this bottom one's the same length. So we're gonna start to drill this one so we can get an easy out deep down in. I think we got it. There it is. Oh. Gotta get my easy out of that thing. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so we are going to need one OEM bolt for a stator. One. Nice thing about having started and run this before taking it apart is we know the stator is good. We had headlights working, everything, so we're not trying to build a tip-top race quad here. So we will reuse this stator. After everything's cleaned up. Alright, just had some leftover Thanksgiving lunch. Always the best. So let me show you where we're at. Clutch side, just lifted off the clutch basket, 22 millimeter. This thick washer goes on the other side of the clutch basket, like so. And then there's a kind of a threaded washer, I guess I'll call it, that sits in the basket going onto this one. So starting to see here, so we got to take off some of these gears so that we can get closer to splitting the case. A lot of these things are already just really mashed. Well, that one's really mashed up. But we should be able to, at this point, feed out, you know, the shift shaft, which we cut. And I'm going to get a photo of this, make it a little easier going back together. There's plenty of diagrams online, but I'm going to grab a photo and then keep stepping through it. All right. Should be able to just lift the shift shaft out. Now that it's cut, should literally be able to slip right out. Boy, that's a real tight shift shaft, but it's coming. Holy smokes. I'll show you this as well. That's the hole that the spring for the Kickstarter goes in. Little worm gear, and then this arm here butts up against the inside there. There's that component out. Shift shaft, gonna be a pain in the tuchus. Well, it's gotta come. It's gotta come out. Starting to sound like marbles in there. I'm probably gonna have to bang this the whole way out. Oh, you can't see it on camera. This shaft is bent. It hooks big time. 19. Quick hit these. Don't want to bang around our cylinder up there. Our piston. Balancer weight is free. Studying these gears, here's our mark to line up with our mark on the balancer when everything goes back together. There is a Woodruff key in here, and this gear has a recess, and that recess goes up. Lifts right up. Retaining ring. So there's a washer, retaining ring. Underneath there's another retaining ring. Oh, washer, so it's sandwiched in washers and then retaining ring. So looking at this now, I think we've got all the bolts out for a case split. Do you hear that? Listen. I'm guessing it's like just loose parts everywhere in there. Okay, I'm gonna get my case splitter, set it up on the stator side. Game on. Yep, case is popping. I got one screw on the front here. is. We are about to find out what in the world happened on the inside of this motor. Okay, this side. Not obvious. Oh, nope, that's a lifter fork. Wow, there it is. There's what happened. I can't tell you which one of the transmission gears yet, but let me show you this. First shot inside the case. There's a gear. There's another gear. So far, I can't quite tell which transmission gear it was. Counterweight, all there. Unless, well, I guess you can't see because the whole gear is missing. I think up top here. Maybe these are supposed to slide. Yeah. We're gonna lift out the transmission and see if we can see which one went kaboom. Let's see how much this can lift out. Aha! So I got all kinds of gear debris down here around the shift shaft. More gear. More gear. More gear. Yeah. Come on, shift shaft, come on out. Still gonna fight me. We're gonna give that a little pound out. Be done with it. There it is. You might be able to make it out on camera, but the whole thing curves that way. Yep, we'll be replacing that. Still, things are locked up. I think to get this guy to come, we're going to try and pull up on the rods that hold the lifter forks here. Oh, I got more. Okay, here we go. We got the lifter fork out. One of them. Metal shavings galore. There is just blown up transmission all over the place in there. Everywhere. Oh, and there's missing gears over here too. Let's see if we can go tap tap on this side. Get the transmission to move. There it is. Okay. Gears broken there. Smoothed out. Must have been skipping bad. Teeth broken down here. broken up transmission, and I'll have to take a look on a manual, but that's the one that really blew up. I don't know if that was first gear, and then you were able to ride for a little while, and then it all locked up. That is not what it's supposed to look like. There's the other lifter forks. So this is going to need some good cleaning. I'm happy with the bearings on the piston, cylinder, start and run. I'm not seeing scoring anything there. Counterbalance looks clean to me. Doesn't look like any of the gear fragments got up here, knocked that around. All the damage is in the transmission. So there it is. All right, I think I found your problem, buddy. Let's inspect our drum. Bearing feels fine. Drum looks fine. No nicks in there. Looks straight to me. Lifter forks look good. We need a transmission. So I'm gonna park it there. It's a little bit of ugly rain out there, but we know our problem now. We know what parts we need. So we're gonna find a transmission for reasonable cost. We need a shift shaft, we need a shifter. A lot of these gaskets look good. We'll do a little with gasket maker. But I think we're gonna get out of this one fairly cheap. And it'll ride again. So park it, gonna go order some parts, and then we'll come back around. Until next time, I am gonna get this place cleaned up. And yeah.